So, what you've all been waiting for. To hear Beverly talk about her life, her story, and connections.
Okay. I'm usually the oldest one here, but Sheila's here. So she got me beat. Um, you know, I didn't light a candle, but I wanted to. And so I'm just going to say it. And that's for the children of Gaza. All the mothers and the children who are really getting it.
Just speak up a little, please.
The mothers and the children who are left in Gaza, who are dying and suffering and being killed. It just continues on and on. And it's heartbreaking. And what can you do? So, so I forgot all about that. You knew AJ Musty and my history. So this is it's very lovely that you would think of AJ Musty, who was a great man that I happen to have the honor of working with and for the last what? I should talk louder?
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
I yell so much of my life, I thought I didn't know. Just calm down. All right, listen, keep. Doesn't work. You'll have to remind me where I was. um, anyway, AJ Musty, that was referred to and quoted, was someone that I was very honored to work with, and for the last years of his life, he was a pacifist and a activist, and so was and am I. But don't cross me. That's it. I'm also funny. I don't know. I think I've gotten funnier with the years because it's almost like you have to.
Yeah.
You have to get funnier. You have to find more joy somewhere, and because it's not out there in the world, it's in community, and that's what we are all here for, is community. So that's why the theme of what I wanted to talk about was connection, because it's through connection that we build community, and just having places and people like this that can draw us out and bring us together is a gift. So we need to keep on doing this in the different ways that we can, invite people to your homes, have different kinds of things. But just now, it's the winter time, we need to come together and build community. So, okay, so I got a good head start with the anti-war movement in the, would you believe it, 1960.
How old?
I started out swimming in front of Polaris submarines in 1960 up in Connecticut, where they built and launched Polaris submarines because there was protest against Polaris submarines that had as many Polaris missiles that could wipe us out 1,000 times over. So there was a huge protest against the building of these, and that's how I got started. And so that was the anti-war. And then just as a little thing, so you should know a little bit about me. So I spent a lot of time in protest and in anti-war civil rights movement, organizing, getting arrested, which was always fun, and things like that. And then I had a very deep spiritual experience, and I studied a lot about spirituality and psychology, and I have, folks, I have hot hands. Should ever want to try them out, I don't charge. Okay, and so through the years, I brought what I was and am and to this community to build community. And so that's how the Upper Delaware Community Network started. Actually, it started at the turn of the century, and Rosie has the history. Yeah, you wrote it down for me, but I don't remember it. But we first started because of Y2K, because it was the turn of the century and we would not be connected. So those of us on River Road, Susan was down River Road at the time, and Rosie, who else was on River Road? Jill, you know. Were you on River Road?
Sheila and Joanne was.
Joanne was. Anyway, all of us on River Road got together on Y2K, and that was basically the birth of our little nation. Right? Is that right?
It was a little before in 1999.
Okay, you got the count. Fill it in. Fill it in.
That's all right.
Fill it in.
It was Hurricane Floyd, and it was Y2K, the turn of the century. They were worried about the computers failing and communication lines going down. And you wanted us to be neighborly, to get ready with our flashlights and batteries, and we met home in the middle of River Road, and we all met each other. Yeah, you were passing out hand flyers on River Road, and yeah, Hurricane Floyd and Y2K with the computers, and then 9/11 in 2001.
Which River Road?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know there was another one.
Many paragraphs.
We're so proud.
Yeah, this is the Pennsylvania side of the river, right here.
Right here.
Right here.
Okay.
Right on the other side of the bridge
Yeah.
into
Nora's
Pennsylvania.
House, Nora's house.
That famous River Road. Yeah. Yeah. So we grew, and we took on different issues. Rosie has them all listed. I cannot remember them, but they were environmental issues. They were community issues. We had the beginnings of a network, and now the network is like 1,450 people, keeps on growing. People come in, people come out. It's gotten a little bit too much of people coming in, not really recognizing that this is not just buying and selling. This is connecting. So there's some new people that need to be introduced to the nature of community and connection. But what I want to see happen, and why I'm glad to be able to introduce this here, is I'd like to see more depth in the network. I'd like to see people come out more with what's important to them. Not, now it's important to know where to buy somebody, and if you want to help somebody, and all those wonderful things that the network provides. But one of the things that I'd like to hear about are people's stories. Tell me your story. What does that mean? And I will give prompts about, and other people can give prompts too, about what does it mean to tell your story? Who are you? Do you have kids? Where do you live? What are the things you love? What are the things you don't like? Who would you like to connect with? I mean, anything that you can introduce your story to this community. Any way that you can find to do that. It could be funny. It could be funny. You get one shot. So you can't go back and correct yourself. You can't say, oh, I forgot to tell you about, one shot you get. But you can make it as long as you want and as short as you want. You can give information that says, if anybody really wants to contact me, send me your name or address, or I'll give you my, use it however you want to get your story out. So I think that's it. Did I leave out anything?
Dogs.
What, drugs? Did you
I mean, she said dogs.
Dogs. Dogs. I thought you said drugs.
Dogs.
Okay, I'll take either one. Yeah, dogs, did somebody say dogs?
Now, why don't you talk a little bit about AJ Musty and how he was really able to kind of take a position that really held many positions and how trustworthy he was in terms of being able to accomplish things because of his organizing skills.
Did anybody see the film Rustin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. It was.
AJ got a bad rap in that film, did you see it?
But it captured a time.
What?
It captured a time that was very beautiful.
Yes.
This time, and it's worth seeing, if only for the end.
And you what?
It's worth it, if only for the end, because it ends with the march
Yeah,
on Washington, where you were.
where I was, yeah,
Yeah.
I organized. I was an organizer from 1960 on. So it was the March on Washington, it was AJ, it was Bayard Rustin, who really was the organizer of that march. And Bayard's office was right next to AJ's and mine. So I worked with AJ and with Bayard and did all that stuff and that was really the beginning. And it's hard to think of it now that about the kinds of demonstrations and the anti-war, the whole concept of anti-war. You just don't hear it now. It's people are at war, but anyway, that's what we did, and yeah.
Beverly, talk about those principles, how you apply them on the bridge. When you do your vigils, you're keeping those principles of nonviolence on those bridges. Talk about that experience, what the spiritual experience that you bring, the nonviolence to the bridge when you, this whole winter.
Yeah, well, we talk a lot on the bridge, actually. We visit on the bridge, but we stand there in the cold and with each other and with lots of signs that friends have made, that we've all made, and it's very meaningful to be able to consistently come out with your friends and with your neighbors and just stand together for something that you believe in. And I think I got that from AJ, where you just stand up no matter what. You just stand for what you believe in, and the chips fall and they did. They did. Yeah.
So what is your opinion about right now?
Yeah.
What can we do? We're facing oligarchy. We have to figure out a way to stand together.
This is what I think we do. I think we need to connect with each other and in ways that are healthy and that give us energy and hope
Yeah.
and keep us connected, because it's I don't know that, I mean, I don't want to get into it too much. I've been through a good part of the changes and the revolutionary, all, throughout the 60s, 70s, but I was never depressed then. And I'm depressed.
You're depressed now?
I mean, now my being is not depressed because I'm not a depressing. I'm not, but I don't. It's.
I'm living with my daughter who's 40. I tell her that we've been through this before,
No,
but not as severe as it is right now. And I have two granddaughters, both of whom I wanted to bring, and I will bring here. I'd like to have children, actually connecting now, because they're the future, right? And they're facing in school and everywhere, the radical. I read an article in Ms. Magazine, it was just recently, about the radical Christian right and what they're trying to do and what they're doing as we speak.
Right.
This whole thing, 2025, they're pushing us out.
So, my feeling, did you want to say something?
My question is, I agree with you, and it's true, and actually, Elon Musk has possession of the Treasury computers
Yeah.
right now, this morning. You guys, this is not.
He's what?
Elon Musk, who
Yeah,
Trump appointed to be head of DOGE,
Yeah.
Department of
Yeah, yeah.
Governmental Efficiency, which isn't a real agency. It has not been okayed by Congress or the Senate. It has not been funded. Therefore, Elon Musk's job is not a real job. Let's see, Elon Musk is unvetted. I mean, it's basically a civilian billionaire who now he came with all of his personnel people from SpaceX, Tesla.
Yeah, I think we have to leave that alone.
No. But Beverly, this is not political. This is my point. They actually
Yeah.
got into the Treasury where all the funds for Medicare and Medicaid and everything, your tax return, everything, this is the place that controls the money of the U.S. and the money of all of us. They got in there at 5 p.m. on Friday. And they are now in possession of the financial means of the U.S. government. So this is like, to your point, this is nothing we have experienced before.
I know, but we're not, so.
And it's not
what we have
political,
to
it's
do-
just no one who is not a government employee should have that.
We have to be optimists. We have to get together.
Yeah, who's going to arrest him? That's my optimism.
Really push it.
Yes, but our question to you is, we need to demonstrate, we need to have,
Can't be afraid.
we can't be afraid and we need to stand together against this, but first people need to understand it. I mean, if your Medicare or Medicaid check stops, it doesn't matter whether you were for Trump or against him, right? It's not a political thing. This,
What do you want to say?
No, I mean, I think we have to connect, as Beverly says.
Connect.
Yes.
And keep connected, more than ever, you know. But I also think that, I don't talk.
oh, no, you cannot.
But I also think that,
You look good.
the situation is
It's dire.
dire, but it's also fluid. I mean, they are making so many mistakes.
Yeah.
And they're big ones. And
Illegal, yeah.
not just illegal, they're gonna impact people's lives tremendously. So people who identified with MAGA can be quickly disillusioned.
Right.
I mean, they
I think
will
they are now. I think they're starting to see a little bit.
are, do
Maybe
you
they
think
are.
so?
I do.
First of all, the price of eggs is going up.
Well, Beverly, I have a question. It was interesting to me when everyone was lighting candles. I kind of wanted to light a candle, but
I did too.
what I was going to say was something about the fire in our bellies, and it didn't seem appropriate.
About the what?
The fire in our bellies.
Do it.
What about it?
Well, because I thought.
I want to do it.
No. It's not important right now. What's important is to ask you this question. Was when you were doing the protesting, I can't imagine that you got into the water, the cold waters in front of a Polaris submarine
Nuclear submarine.
without some fire in your belly. I mean, you did it peacefully, but you had
It was
some.
warmer.
Yeah,
It
but
wasn't the cold.
but you had some.
It was
real-
December
I
time.
mean, you were angry. You
Yeah.
had some anger in you at that point. You were not working from your position of anger. You were working through your anger, but there was some anger there, and there's a way to use that to your benefit rather than to your detriment.
I don't know if I would describe anger as
Great
the
question.
overriding emotion.
Not your overriding, but there was something. There was some sort of fire in your belly. There was some sort
Yes,
of.
of course. The fire was to speak out.
Right.
So how do we do something productive with
So
that?
for me, my question is, I hear a lot of talk about getting along and finding joy, but I don't have very much joy.
Thoughts and prayers.
And I'm not interested in getting along at this point because I see a lot of the troubles and I don't want to get along with these
Well, they're stealing our money when
I
you
would
do it.
like to,
What do you want to do?
well, I would like to hear from you about where and how I protest and how I make this stuff stop. You know what I mean? How do I do an effective protest? Where do I go to make this nonsense stop? You
Well,
know, so someone
well,
who has a lot of experience protesting and stuff like that, if you're gonna do nonviolent protest,
I get it.
I want a toolkit,
Yeah.
you know?
Where do we start?
I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do, and I invite you to do the same. I want us to, I want us to find ways that make us feel whole and connected and alive. I want us to look for those ways within community
Mhm.
because it's not coming from out there. And at the same time, I do believe that if enough shit gets thrown against the wall,
Mhm.
it's gonna, what Nora said, it's going to come out. People will find out. And I think we just need to be quiet,
Mhm.
come together, find joy, and sit and wait until they discover through their own experiences, through the prices of what through the words that they hear, through little by little, how people have to wake up. Now, some won't, and
Information.
some, but some people are gonna wake up. And meanwhile, when they wake up, we're here.
What about the fear? You have to consider the fear, Beverly. People could, when this guy here talks about the fire in the belly, I understand that, but I'm very worried that people will start being frightened
Yeah.
instead of getting worked up. When they
Well,
see the
right.
power that
He's
these
afraid to
people
speak up.
have,
Yeah.
when they see the power that they're just taking
Yeah.
and using against everybody and threatening, the threats that are being made. People are going to start getting frightened and fearful, and nobody's going to speak out.
So you have to come together.
Come together, but like quiet.
It was like during the civil rights movement and the anti-war movement.
Yeah, well, where are we now? Same thing. We're facing, it's almost as though
Yeah.
those sit-ins and all those battles mattered nothing.
Didn't happen.
Well,
Yeah.
no, it mattered for then.
How does that happen?
It mattered for then, it happened then for that time, and it made its impact. We have to find our way to make our impact.
Well, perhaps we need to live what we've been fighting for. Not be afraid and not like just spread out and open up
And connect.
instead of connecting, but sometimes connecting can tighten up a little group of people. You have to open it and make sure that everybody knows there's no need to fear these people.
Well, I wouldn't say there's no need to fear. I'd be afraid to sell it.
You would be afraid, I know.
Right. We could be a little bit afraid. No, that's right. There's no need.
Well, you have to speculate on what's coming down the pike.
You know, I lived very personally through the McCarthy period.
To what?
Through the McCarthy period, and my parents were leftists, and my brother and I were the same age as Rosenberg kids, and I lived in dread of our parents being picked up.
Take it away.
But community did sustain us with all of that, and with all the Smith Act jailings of dissidents, and you know, we had Pete Seeger, and we, you know, had a huge folk music culture. And we had community, we had endless, you know, spaghetti
Fundraisers
dinners and folk dancing and all those things that the left identified with culturally. Now it'll be different. And I think young people are not on board with all of this.
No.
They don't have the
No,
habit.
not on board with the MAGA stuff. And I think that there are, you know, we can build stuff. We'll have different music. Some different music. But the same. So I think you're right. We have to keep that community going. And I think you're right. We can't, I mean, Pete's, they put out a magazine every month called Sing Out, you know. So we don't know how we're gonna sing or dance out, but
Yeah.
we have to, when we get together, find the forums.
Yeah.
That feel right to us.
And find the young people that we can connect with. There's no young people here.
That's the first thing I noticed.
And so we need to go where they are. Where, I don't know them. I don't know young people.
I was going to today,
What?
or bring them with us.
Yeah, however, absolutely. Invite, maybe to have a UU service or some kind of service where everybody brings somebody young.
Yes.
You gotta bring,
So that's one
where
thing
we
we
have to
should be
really,
discussing.
really connect.
So maybe we should start our, I mean, the face-to-face was a very important part of the network in the early days. And we'd have these gatherings.
Yeah.
Lots of times at Beverly's house and then at people's
It's
houses.
just that everybody's happy.
People would bring
Yeah.
food, and that was very nourishing. So I think we should start that again. I volunteer my house for the first year.
Good idea. Sonia's been. I'm like a border collie. I want everyone to be together. And I'm very well connected and I think I'm blessed. I'm privileged because I'm a white woman with a pension and I'm relatively healthy. And I do have a base like all of you. But in a week, I only talk to people like you. I only talk to people like you who have money to get by. I've been thinking, where can I talk to other people?
I have no money.
Yes, you have money because you have enough money for food and rent and you have a network that will give you a ride if you need a ride. So all of us are privileged, but who do I talk to? It's not like me. Okay. And I've identified one. I've identified an African-American woman in Tex, who's about 18 and with a chubby, she's a checkout person. I started talking to her about voting. It was by partisan. I don't know what to say to her, but I'm going to keep somehow engaging with this one.
Right.
When I go to WJFF radio, I pass a church on the way into Liberty. It's called Grant and Bonnie, something like that. It is packed with cars, packed. I need to go to that church. I need to go with somebody, and I need to sit there and listen. So I'm trying to find very specific things that I can do to check out and that church. And I'm also thinking about the resource we have here that spends $300,000 on salaries, that's now 35 years old. What is our radio station doing about this in a more vibrant way? Station has changed a whole lot, and I have been a volunteer there for 30 years. Unbelievable. How can we charge the radio station to step out more? Because we are not stepping out very much. And one thing that's happened that I really, and this is sort of closed talk, I know there's another volunteer here at the station, Rosie Starr, who does farm and country. The station is missing something. Yes. It's missing something, and people need to start saying.
What do you think it's missing?
It's missing because they don't want volunteers to be really active.
Relevance.
They don't want you to go there, they don't want to train you, and I think it's so unfortunate. When this is the 35th anniversary of the station, and I'm going to do a show talking about what it was like in the beginning.
Good.
They are not welcoming other input. The staff wants to run it all themselves. So there's a limit, they're very competent, but there's a limit to what they can do. And I think the station should be a much more, what is their mission now when we have totalitarianism right in our midst? And I look at how fortunate we are with newspapers. This newspaper, 50 years old, it's still alive. The River Recorder. But somehow it takes a lot of courage to step out of the furrow and do something. I think of my neighbor who goes in winter cold nights and spends 2 nights with boys at a scout camp and talks to young people. I don't talk to young people. I don't know anybody except the checkout at the counter. So getting out of talking to you, I'm connected fine, and I need that connection because it keeps me from being so sad. And I'm beginning to write. I'm writing like little thank you letters to Biden, to Harris, to the woman who was the priest at the I mean, and just to say I appreciate
all that you've done.
She was
And,
so.
and I'm gonna start this week, I'm gonna call, Schumer and, Gillibrand every day. What are you doing? You need to speak out more and just relentlessly.
You know what? I got a phone call 2 days ago. And I held on because I knew what the call was about. And she said, I said, well, I'm with you. I got it. I'm with you all the way. She said, I have to go through the whole thing. So I said, okay, fine. At the end of the call, she actually hooked me to the congressman's office. Our new one, the guy that, that took the place of Cartwright. And somebody answered the phone, a person, and I'm calling because of this, blah, 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 blah. Told the whole thing. Medicaid, gay rights, trans, the whole thing. And he listened to me. He had to, I guess, because that's how it is. But that's interesting because people are now networking. Yes. And I live with 2 young girls, and they're very much like me and my daughter. And other kids come. We very gently, you have to just keep moving on, network.
When you were speaking, Sonia, I know that you, and I know there were other people who really resonated with what you were saying. And I'm just wondering if you all need to get together, if you need to get together, so that you're not out there by yourself doing it, that you have the help and the encouragement, and maybe somebody is doing some writing or calling for somebody else. I mean, so it's not you alone, so that you can get the support and that you can involve other people with your contacts. So maybe you all need to get together afterwards and talk about, well, I don't know where you all live, but if it's in the same area.
Beverly, isn't your network the ideal place to bring people together?
You have to talk louder.
Isn't your network the ideal place for people to connect?
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
so let's get back to that as a fixture in our lives. I mean, you have the service here, but if we could have once a month, unless you want to use this as but some forum where we do our thinking and organizing.
Good idea.
Getting together.
Getting together, but also planning, maybe, putting
That's
groups
what we
together.
did.
What we always did.
What we did years ago, it's just that it's gotten so big and it's gone, it's just gone to, it evolved, for me, too much buying and selling. I'd like another network to go that does that.
Yeah.
And for us to connect in other ways, I'm trying to get that to happen.
Yeah. There's another problem now that didn't exist in the 60s and 70s, and that is the huge amount of misinformation, which is mistaken, people are mistaken, and disinformation, which is intentionally disinforming you in false ways. And so there needs to be something where, this group that you guys are talking about could just establish facts. Like just share facts. Like I shared about, the treasury is now possessed by people who are not government employees.
But just make
Just
the
facts.
connection.
People don't know facts, and coming together, we can bring facts and, process them.
Yes.
So it's really.
I think that I really respond to your idea that just bringing people together. I think that there's something that's off-putting by sort of creating a group saying that we know it all, we know the answers, we know the facts, because the whole point is to start to get to know our neighbors. So I know that Eric and I have consciously made an effort to get to know our neighbors that have completely opposite views and try to create a community with them. And sometimes it works, obviously, sometimes it doesn't. We've seen in several instances where the flag was high, Trump flag, and the flag went down. And I think that, for me, that is much more valuable. It's harder because you have to swallow a lot. And you have to just but ultimately, I think it's a deeper, more meaningful, and probably more permanent, thing, rather than, because I have certainly been in the last, certainly the last couple of weeks saying, oh, I got to do something. I don't know what to do. Trying to figure that out. And I realize that I have to just continually immerse myself in the community that I'm in and make that difference there in a way that isn't off-putting, that I just basically say, I'm on the same level as you, I'm gonna figure this out too. And how can we come together to make it better for both of us?
Good for you.
Good for you.
You know, and what you said about listening, just get together. You don't have to say a word, just really, and people know when you are listening to
Yes.
them and you have an open, because they know that you want to know. And if you can communicate that you really want to know what they're feeling and thinking, and with no judgment on your part, you don't have anything that you have to say.
Yes.
You're just there to listen and connect.
We had a neighbor that used to, we have a big garden, and he'd bring his pickup truck, like drive on my property in his pickup truck, which used to drive me crazy, but he'd drive along the garden. Wasn't very mobile, and he'd open up his pickup truck, door, and I'm sitting there weeding, and we'd have over the fence, have these conversations that were fairly intense, but we were both like at the end of the day, like, shook hands and I value that. I mean, I learned a lot from that situation. I learned a lot from him, how to communicate and like you said, how to listen, just purely listen. It wasn't really important that for me to like hit him over the head with my ideals. It was more important for us to kind of communicate on like sort of a heartfelt level.
Yeah. Good for you.
This is
You should
great.
Come to my neighbor.
That's
That's another,
Yeah.
I mean, for every.
I'm not saying it
rule and
works
for all
for
the
everybody.
attentions and, and me and
I mean,
have
this
a
is great as
neighbor,
a long-term process, but it's also an emergency now.
Yeah, but.
Yeah.
No, it's an emergency.
Like you do clarify something, I want to bring to your point. Exactly, you've heard on WJFF, it's one small step. There's a huge national public radio program designed exactly for people like this. Speaking together on complete opposites, coming together, literally, they just speak like people to each other, but they're polar opposites.
Oh, I've heard that.
Yeah,
It's pretty much
you could offer your experiences. I don't know if that program is still active. And it's on WJFF, and I'm holding up my phone because my heart is singing to Sonia. And as a volunteer and everyone in the community, we get a newsletter. And they're welcoming an intern. I mean, they may not be focusing on volunteers like us, but they're focusing on interns that are very talented. Let's welcome Miguel Santiago Colon he's an audio producer from Puerto Rico, and he's joining the news staff now. They're doing what they can. I mean, that's not a paid position. He's an intern, and a different label, not a volunteer, but they really are a very encompassing. Please don't think that JFF, because they've changed over the last 35 years, they're growing. And so it used to be a small, very small radio station that was just volunteer. And yes, but now they've stepped out a little bit to include NPR, and they're being more global, more national, but always focusing on the diversity of the community. If you get the newsletter, you'll see how they're sharing. The migrant workers is on here. They spoke to rural ministries this week. They are very focused on local, national, and global, because now we are because everything that we're talking about here is globally, the whole world is on fire. It's like the roaring 20s of 100 years ago.
Yeah, but Sonia has been a volunteer at the station for
I've been a listener.
15 years.
Yes, I've been a listener for 35 years.
And she is saying something that is important that we hear.
Yes, that's correct.
But for instance,
But they
nothing
don't
So-
get the impression that volunteers are not wanted. It's just that they've changed. Everything changes.
The station is a beautiful building and nothing happens on Saturday and Sunday. That's right. There's nothing that goes on. And I think some group of people should say, can we have an open house and people bring potluck and we can, what's happening in the world, and let's have a discussion. It's a logical place, not to have a program where someone's always talking, but just to get to know your neighbors.
The Jefferson building with the
Jefferson Building is gone. This is the building, the.
We don't get security now.
Okay, but now, wait a minute, hold on, folks, hold on, Ruth. Hold on, no, hold on. You're gonna have to hold on,
I will.
Because you're going
I
to-
get to see one last thing.
Okay.
No,
We're gonna have to
one
talk
last
about this afterwards, this is really
Yes,
important.
let's talk about
So
it.
can we not have those people who would like to join with Sonia and talk about the radio station? Those people who can do this and how you can make the influence that you want, that you speak of. Anybody who wants to do that, will please see Sonia and get together with her about that. Is there something you want to
Yes,
say?
we are in the Union Building. This building is filled with rooms that would gladly open up the community. I'm just saying, let's talk to Kathy and Brendan White. There's different sized rooms here for greeting people. There's a cafe. I mean, should we get ourselves involved here and have a space, the community room?
I think we're all talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
And, well, just to bring it back to what Laura said, once a month, perhaps, that would be worthwhile, that folks got together face to face, and there appears to be spaces all over to do that.
That's a very good idea. Have it once a month and it's established, like the third Tuesday or whatever. A
And
potluck.
okay, this is the
Have it in
time
a room in the Union, and then everybody. We can try to bring younger people. We can try to bring, all kinds of people.
So that everybody agrees, this would be a very good thing, and we can go to Brendan and Catherine and ask them about it. Does somebody want to do that? We have a couple of people.
Beverly too, no, not volunteer, but think about the people on the other side of the county too, and use Liberty, use
On the other side of the line?
on the other side of Sullivan County, or even in Homestead. We shouldn't always make a meet, but I don't know. I really don't.
How do we go to somebody else's meeting?
Somebody else.
How do I go to a meeting of the born again Christians? Or the young?
Oh, you're going somewhere else now. Hold on there. I know.
All right, well,
Overflowing with ideas.
I'm just gonna,
Do it.
we're over time, but thank you so much, Beverly,
Yes.
for this conversation. We will have time for refreshments, and, I baked a huge, loaf of, rosemary, black olive sourdough, bread, so we can break bread together, and we'll, close down our service.
Thank you.
I have two things before we extinguish the chalice. I have some closing words, and I have one more song. So the closing words are the words of Dorothy Day. Dorothy Day was a Catholic worker woman, did a lot of organizing, and these are her words. People say, what is the sense of our small effort? They cannot see that we must lay one brick at a time, take one step at a time. A pebble cast into the pond causes ripples that spread in all direction. Each one of our thoughts, words, and deeds is like that. No one has the right to sit down and feel hopeless. There's too much work to do.
Good quote.
And this is a song, actually, I'm going to sing it later too, for Sheila at the event at the Damascus Center. But it's called Voice Still and Small. So I'm going to sing through it once, and then I'll feed you the lines. Voice still and small, deep inside all, I hear your call, singing in storm and rain, sorrow and pain, still will remain, singing, calming my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years, singing, singing. Okay, you ready? Voice still and small. Voice still and small. Inside all, deep inside all. I hear your call. I hear your call. You know it. Singing. That again, singing. Singing. In storm and rain. In storm and rain. Sorrow and pain. Sorrow and pain. Still we remain. Still we remain. You know it. Singing. Singing. Calming my fears, quenching my tears, quenching my tears through all the years, through all the years, singing. Now we're just going to break it down a little bit more. We're going to do voice still and small again, voice still and small again, voice still and small, you know it, singing, singing. Deep inside all, deep inside all, one more time. Deep inside all, singing. I hear you call. I hear you call. I hear you call. I hear you call. Singing. Singing. One more time, singing. 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 Lovely. Yes. We're going to extinguish our chalice. Come up, Sue. So we extinguish our flame, but not the light of truth.
Yeah.
Not the warmth of community or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and make manifest in our lives until we are together again.
Lori, I'd like to add one thing. I wanted to, a member extraordinaire, Nan Weinerman. She has COVID. I'd like to wish her well and a quick recovery.
Oh, Nan, one of our members. Thank you, Sheila. Anyway, I invite you all to break bread with us, to return, and we'll get a piece of paper out so that if you want to be added to our mailing list and hear about our programming, then you can do that. I also do encourage you all to subscribe to the River Reporter. It is those places that we can, with written word, really connect. And the River Reporter, I have been working on it for 47 years. And at its root, really, is Unitarian Universalist values about pluralism, the fact that everyone has a story to share and to be heard and to help with our collective lives. So thank you all for coming, and please do have coffee and break bread. Yeah.
Can I just add one thing, Sonia, you were not just talking about the station, you were also, I think, talking about outreach in churches or wherever.